a good deal.
Whoa, that's a lot of people. I'm going to pin. Okay. Hi, everybody.
They're all muted.
I didn't mute them.
Then they came in muted.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. All right. If you're trying to say hi, don't worry. We'll give you a chance to talk in a second.
Joey is still not Krista. Hello, Tyler.
Hey, Chris.
So Rapids, right now you guys are all muted. You have the ability to, oh no, wait. So it looks like you're back on again.
I was like, as they come in, they may unmute.
Yeah, there's a button at the top of the thing that says like mute and unmute.
Yeah. So each one of you have the ability to unmute your screen. Obviously, we don't want to have everybody on at the same time talking because we won't be able to hear anybody. So what we're going to do is we'll give it a couple more minutes. I'm going to go ahead and talk about a few things to remind everybody of stuff and give people a few more minutes to come in. But in the meantime, I encourage you guys to use the chat section. What's Reed say? My dad swam with Ray's wife at Auburn. Oh, awesome. So Zach may or may not be able to interact with you through the comment section, but you guys can definitely put some stuff up there and he'll try and chat with you. But what we're going to do is we're going to give everybody a chance to ask the questions. So you guys will end up raising your hand on the thing, and as you raise your hand and you have questions, then I'll just start calling on you, kind of like a radio disc jockey. So what we're going to do is everybody's going to be on mute. I'm going to mute everybody here soon, and then you're going to have to unmute yourself to start talking. So if you don't know how to do that, figure it out now. All right. So anyway, welcome everybody. As you know, you might want to pin Zach's picture if you want to see him the whole time. If you don't know how to do that, you just go up to the top right corner of his thing and click on the three dots. And then you can pin his video, and his video will stay up with you. Or you can just watch, and whenever the yellow circle covers up his video, that means he's the person that's going to be talking at that point. So I wanted to remind you guys of a few things. First of all, we had, I think, up to like 24, 25 people that were doing Coach Mike's live Facebook workout at 1 o'clock, which is awesome. That's a really great number for doing it live. And then I want to say, Scott can remind me, but I want to say we've got like, for those Facebook workouts. So that means that you guys are going back and doing those workouts afterwards, which I think is awesome. So don't forget, those are Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then our communications department pins those to our virtual training center. So I you guys to go to the virtual training center on the website. You can read more about Zach. We've got a couple different bios up, one from SwimSwam, one from the national team bio, which is on usaswimming.org. And Coach Chris wrote a really great story about Zach, just kind of sharing a little bit more of his background. And we're going to put that up there and leave that up there for a little while also. So you definitely can learn more about Zach or go check it out right now while you're on here. And don't forget, each group has their own individual group call that's coming up. So yesterday we had a senior group on, and we had 45 different senior swimmers that came in at the same time, which is awesome for one group. Tomorrow is the junior group work meeting, so that'll be at 3 o'clock. I would say it'll probably go somewhere in the maybe 30 to 45 minute range. And then Friday is classes 1, 2, and 3 with Coach Jessica, and Coach Chris and I will also be there, but Jessica's gonna be running that. So lots of fun stuff coming up. Keep up with your Rapids goal guides, finish them on Friday, and then submit it through Google or send it to us and we'll write back to you. So Zach, these guys are highly motivated and some are not as motivated because everybody's in a difficult spot right now. So I figure what better time to learn from someone who probably has been through plenty of ups and downs on your own. For those of you that don't know, Coach Chris Bushelman. Chris, say hi.
Hello, everybody.
Chris is he's our head senior assistant coach / assistant head coach, and he's the man. And Chris, we're very fortunate to have you on our staff. Obviously, you know that. We know that. Zach was also very fortunate to get to work with you in Ohio. So I'm going to let Chris talk a little bit about Zach and then introduce you guys. And then at that point, I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody now except for Chris. And go ahead, Chris.
All right. Hey, what's up, Rapids? Hope everybody's having a great day. Sun's shining, at least down here in Midlow. I hope it is where you are as well. We're really lucky to have Zach Apple with us today. I worked with Zach in Ohio. He swam for me at the Great Miami Valley YMCA. He was a part of a really special group of athletes that I had the pleasure and opportunity to work with. And since he graduated from high school, he's went to Auburn, and then from Auburn he went to IU, and now he's training with the pro group at IU. And that group is, him, Blake Peroni, Lily King, Annie Laser, lots of names, Cody Miller, a lot of names that you guys hear all the time, and he gets to be with those athletes and train with those athletes every day. So I'm going to hand it over to Zach. Zach, whenever you're ready, go ahead, bud.
Yeah. Chris, you want to toss him a softball question?
What?
I don't know if you wanted to start out with a question or not.
Well, Zach, why don't you tell us a little bit about, from your perspective, about growing up in Ohio, and how things have transpired for you, and some of the things you went through, and how you got to where you are.
Yeah. What's up, everybody? I'm currently in Bloomington, Indiana. Like they all said, my name's Zach Apple. I've been on the national team this is my 4th year now on the U.S. national team. Probably just going to give you a little bit of my story, my backstory of like how I got to where I am, and then we can kind of open it up for some questions and stuff like that. So like Chris said, I'm from Ohio originally. I didn't really start swimming with Chris until I was 16. Before that, I swam with like a summer league team. I'm sure you all swam summer league and stuff. It's super fun. That's where I grew up and kind of fell in love with the sport of swimming, was that. So that's all I did swimming wise until high school. Before that, I was playing basketball. I played basketball all the way up until high school, and then swimming and basketball were in the same season. I chose swimming. And then I also played a little bit of soccer. I played a little bit of football. So I played pretty much the whole range. I used to golf a little bit when I was younger with my dad. So it was fun. And then I got to high school, joined my high school swim team, and that's kind of where I saw that I was like kind of I was decent at swimming then. I saw that I had a love for the sport, and that I enjoyed being at practice, enjoyed being in the water and being with people like that. And so my first 2 years, I just did high school swimming, and then my summer league team like that. And then my sophomore year, I ended up qualifying for districts in Ohio. It goes sectionals, district, state is the qualifying process to get to the state meet for high school swimming. And I qualified for districts, and it was like kind of a big deal. I wasn't a club swimmer or anything, and I got to districts, and everybody had I'm sure you all know, like the FINA approved sticker on the back of like tech suits, right? You all know what that is. I got there, and I did not know what that was, and I was like, why does everyone have this little white rectangle on their suits? Like, I missed something, I do something wrong. I had no idea what was happening. And so that was fun. I got there, and I swam, and I swam well, but it was kind of like this like big show and thing. And so my high school coach was like, you probably should look into maybe joining a club team. You might be able to, kind of get into college swimming or something like that if you kind of start to buckle down now. And so when I turned 16, I got my license, and before that, I couldn't really get to a practice by my parents. My mom was a teacher, so she was working. My dad worked at a insurance company, and so he was working during the day too. So when I got my license, I finally was able to get to a club team and get to a practice, and I just kind of just stumbled upon GMBY. Really, it was just the closest club to me, and Yeah, I talked to Chris and Matt a little bit before that at districts actually, but before that I hadn't really known anything about club swimming. So I joined their team, and I was lucky enough to have some really awesome teammates. Mark Andrew and Mitchell Ellis were like my two, solid training partners, and that was super fun. Those last 2 years of college of high school swimming were some of the best I had. We didn't have a very big group. It was just maybe 10 people, maybe at most, in the senior group or the high performance group or whatever we called it. But the group we had was super tight knit. I mean, we went to travel meets together all the time. We always roomed together. We always enjoyed being around each other. We hung out with each other outside of the pool, and we really built this kind of a team atmosphere, which was really fun and really unique, I feel like, to what we were doing in high school, since we weren't really, a team outside of that, because all of us went to different high schools, and we all weren't really friends outside of swimming until we came together, and then we kind of had this friendship that blossomed that way. And so junior year, I made state. I think I made state junior year. Yeah. and and so that was good. I don't think I finaled in anything at state my junior year, but I had gotten significantly better. And then, that summer after junior year, I kind of started the college recruiting process. I was looking at mid-major schools that were mid-tier. I tried to find schools that were going to be able to push me, where I wasn't going to be the fastest kid, because I didn't want to go in and be a big dog. I wanted to have people to push me and that I could chase in practice. And I'm sure you guys know about competing in practice and stuff like that and how beneficial it is. And so I did that. I was looking through schools. I took 5 official visits, one to Cleveland State, one to a school up in Michigan called Oakland, Queen's University of Charlotte, which is a DSU school in Charlotte, Ohio State, just because I'm from Ohio, and it was just a school that was a possibility for me, and then Western Kentucky. And so I took all 5 of those trips, and I ended up committing to Western Kentucky, right? And so that was like, all right. What had sold me about them is that they had Claire Donahue, which I don't know if any of you know who that is, but she was a 2012 Olympic butterflyer. She had a gold medal from the relay. And so when I took that trip, I met her, and I got to hold her Olympic gold medal. And I was like, man, this is like the dream, right? This is what everybody wants. So having that experience was like kind of a selling point for that. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to go here, and, we'll see how good I can get. So senior year, we went through, we had a really good senior year. I went to junior nationals in the winter in December and swam well. And then I want to say it was April of my senior year. I could be wrong, because it was right after YMCA short course nationals. So I think it was April that Western Kentucky suspended their program for 5 years, right? And so I had signed my letter of intent. That's where I was going. I was committed, and I was kind of had the carpet pulled out from under me, and I was kind of left with nowhere to go. I knew I wanted to swim in college, but I didn't apply anywhere else. I didn't have any other like things lined up. So I was kind of a sitting duck, and luckily I had progressed quite a bit my senior year, and so I had a good number of colleges reach out to me, and I actually had my guidance counselor in high school. Her son, who I've known their family my whole life, was actually getting his PhD at Auburn, and was kind of volunteering with the swim team. So she kind of hooked me up with him, and I was like, man, they were like, you want to swim at Auburn? And I was like, yeah, I want to swim at Auburn. What are you saying? Like, of course I do. And so I ended up going to Auburn, and freshman year went well. I ended up qualifying for NCs as a freshman. I was the only guy on my team to do it, and that was fun. It was good. Sophomore year was even better. I hit the maximum of 7 All-American honors and 1 NCAAs my sophomore year, and then the summer after my sophomore year, I was able to qualify for my first world championship team, which was awesome. Being on a team with guys like Nathan Adrian and Matt Grievers, Caleb Dressel, those guys. I mean, at that point, those were like the top dogs, and I was just trying to fit in, And so that was an awesome experience. I was able to go there and swim on a prelims relay, and which the relay went on to finals and won gold, which I wasn't a part of, which left me with not a bitter taste in my mouth, but you want to swim at finals, right? And so that's kind of what drove me that next year was, I wanted to be able to get to a position where I could swim a finals relay with Team USA. And so that next year went really well at Auburn. And then NCAAs went really well again, went all best times. And then at the end of my junior year, uh, my head coach Brett Hawk had resigned, and that was kind of another area where I was kind of left in a position where I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do and how that was going to look. And so I had a lot of meetings with a lot of people that I trusted. I talked to my family. I talked to the other coaches at Auburn about what I should do. And I ended up deciding what the best thing for me to do was to transfer to Indiana University, which is where I am now, which ended up working out really well. But I think the reason I left Auburn was not because of a coach change or a lack of team unity, because I absolutely loved all 3 years at Auburn. Auburn is where I went to school pretty much. I know I spent my senior year in Indiana, but Auburn is my alma mater, my heart. And the thing that really drove me to kind of make the decision to change was I wanted people around me who were achieving at the highest level, who were winning Olympic medals, who were winning world championship medals, who were breaking world records. And there really wasn't anyone else at Auburn who was kind of competing at that level. And that's where I wanted to be. And so I wanted to surround myself with that, especially the 2 years going into the Olympics, which is now 3 years. But so that's really what drove that decision. And so I transferred to Indiana. My senior year went really well. I got to be part of a Big Ten championship team, which was super fun. I had never really. My freshman year at Auburn, we fought for a championship, and it came to a close second. And so to be able to win a conference championship, and I'm sure you guys have seen pictures of teams that jump in the pool with their Big Ten champ shirts on and stuff. So that was a really cool experience that I got to have. And then went on to NCAAs, where we ended up getting third as a team. So that was fun to get a team trophy at NCAAs. And we also swam the second fastest 4 medley relay in history. We're the only second team ever to break 3 minutes and won an NCAA title that way. So that was an awesome experience as well, to be able to stand on top of the podium at a national championships was fun. And so going into that brings me up into last summer, so almost a year ago now, where I ended up competing at World University Games last summer, where I won 50 or the 100 free and the 200 free at World University Games, and 3 other relays. So I got to win 5 gold medals at World University Games. And then I went on to World Championships, where we won the 4 free relay and set the meet record with the fastest 400 free relay ever swam at World Championships. We got second in a 800 free relay, or no, third in an 800 free relay, and second in a 4 medley relay. And then we also broke a world record as a part of a mixed 400 free relay, where I got to swim with Caleb Dressel, Simone Manuel, and Mallory Comerford. That was super, super fun and an awesome experience, and just kind of showed me that I belonged, and that I got to be on those relays, and I got to actually contribute on those finals relays, and that I was competing with the best at that point, which gave me a lot of fire for this year to keep training. And I really think that I had a good shot at making an individual this summer. I think I still do next summer, but we know we're just gonna have to train for another 12, 14 months before we get to show everybody what we're made of. But so that kind of brings us to where we are. There's been a lot of ups and downs in what my career and everything that I've done, and a lot of unexpected things. And I think, just kind of being able to roll with the punches and take everything in stride, and know that, there isn't one certain person or coach or training partner or something that's going to make you great. What's really going to make you great is if your mental game, when you go into practice every day, are you willing to put in the work? Are you willing to show up every day and give 100%? That's really what's going to kind of make the difference, is your attitude towards training, and your attitude towards, how good can I be? Let's see how far we can push this. And that's kind of what my attitude has been ever since, because going into college, nobody thought I would be on a world record relay in 4 years. Chris says he does. Maybe a few people knew, but the majority of the world didn't expect me to be where I am now. So it's been a fun ride, and I'm excited for the next year. Bummer that the Olympics aren't happening this summer, but I think it's probably the right thing to do with the whole state of the world currently and everything shut down. Nobody's training. Nobody wants to go into a championship meet where you can you haven't been prepped fully, and that's what we want to be able to do, especially with Team USA going into the Olympics. We want to go in and know that we did everything we can to be the best team that we can be, and kind of show the world that we are the best team and the best swim team in the world. So um, yeah, that's pretty much my story. I'm gonna kind of open up for questions if you guys want. I think that you can use like a little raise hand thing
Yep.
on the bottom of the screen, or I can't remember where it is, on the side, I think. And
Yeah,
kind of raise
there's a
your hand.
participant section.
Yeah.
So when you guys raise your hand, I'll see what order they come in, and I'll call on your name, and it'll be up to you to unmute yourself. If you don't know how to do it, then I'll unmute it for you, and then you could just. But what I want you guys to do is, this is good for Zach. So say your name, so he knows who they're, because not all the names are on the screens. So say your name so he knows who he's talking to, and go for it. First up is going to be Tyler Caton. Now, Tyler, just so you know, Zach, Tyler is 6'5" and growing,
Nice.
and he is 15.
That's
So
awesome.
he's
What's up,
the
man?
future. All right, Tyler, what you got, bud?
All right, so after the Olympics got pushed back, how is that gonna affect how you train leading up?
For sure. Yeah, it's we kind of had this plan going into this year where it was going to be like a 10 to 12 month period where we were going to hit it really hard, and we had like a plan of how that season was going to look and how it was going to progress throughout the season, into working into some speed work and stuff at the end. So now that's kind of all thrown out the window. Right now our plan is to get through this whole situation that we're all kind of dealing with, first and foremost, just safely and healthy. And then after that, my plan is to kind of take the summer probably a little more lax than I would if it was a normal summer, because there's no meet that I'm going to really try and prep for and get a full rest and a full shave for. So kind of take the summer a little easier, and then once August hits, about kind of restart that whole year cycle of what the coaches had planned for this past year, and just kind of go through it again, because just got pushed exactly 365 days back. So just kind of have to redo it all.
All right.
I have a follow-up question for
Yeah.
you. Along those lines, we have, obviously none of these athletes were losing Olympic trials or the opportunity to potentially be on the Olympic team in the next few months. But in their world, they lost things that were just as important to them, age group championships or, the ISCA junior championships. So what advice do you have? Because I'm sure you went through in a range of emotions, just like a lot of these kids have. What advice do you have for them to get over, those feelings and start moving forward?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, the strangest part for me, like I said, I thought it was the right decision to make to postpone the games with lack of training and everything, and lack of doping control and stuff like that. But the weirdest part for me is that, I went back and I was watching races from last summer to kind of like, just go back and watch races and stuff. I'm sure we all do that. And the weirdest part for me was realizing that there was just no meet that was going to happen. I wasn't going to get a chance this year to kind of show what I've been training for. I tweeted out something that said, it was like, it's weird that this whole year of training is going to culminate into sitting on my couch. It's like super strange. So no matter what level you're at, that's like a weird thing to kind of go through. So I think what you can focus on is kind of let swimming almost take a back seat right now. Not that you should, sit around and eat cookies all day, but kind of focus on other stuff. Try and, for me right now, I'm going to try to just keep my aerobic fitness up, kind of get into some running now. Try and make sure I can improve my core right now. Do some abs and stuff like that. So just find ways that you can still get better without having to focus on swimming, and just know that you're gonna have a meet next year that's gonna be even better.
Good stuff. Thank you.
Yep.
Colin Marks, he's one of our graduating seniors.
Oh, nice.
Hello.
What's up, man?
It's awesome to even see you on my screen. It's absurd to think that. I've always looked up to you as an inspiration for swimming.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
But I feel like you've already answered my question. I was going to ask
That's
how
okay.
do you rebound from just a season that you feel like you put so much effort in, and then it's just stripped away?
Yeah, it's tough for sure. I don't really have a great answer for how how this summer is going to feel, and how I can like put into words of how I'm going to attack it. Because it is a disappointment, right? Like you said, we've all put in this whole year of work where it's like I said, going to culminate into almost nothing, which is super strange, and not necessarily it's going to culminate in nothing, but nothing immediate, which I think swimming is actually a good thing for that, because none of us are used to an immediate gratification type. We're not that kind of sport, you know. We all know how much of a grind it is, and how long of a season it usually is before you get to have a full rest and a full shave. So I think that we as a sport are slightly better equipped to handle that. But like I said, just kind of focus on ways you can get better outside of the pool, and ways you can, and you can even focus on trying to do some new stuff that you didn't have time for in the past. I don't know what that would be, but if you have hobbies or something that you want to do, and try that out, because right now that's really all you got. And that, when I'm in the same spot as you guys are, I'm not swimming at all pretty much right now. So yeah, that's pretty much my best advice for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important for everybody to understand that it is not only okay, but it's perfectly natural to be sad or frustrated or even angry about what did not happen. But I highly recommend, it's kind of like if this were a race that didn't go your way, I'd tell you to go to the warm down pool, and you got 1,000 yards to figure it out. And by the time you're done with those 1,000, you got to move past it, and let's figure out what you can control, because we can't control what has happened up until this point, but we can't control what's coming our way for sure. This is Chris Bushelman. You may have met him before. He's coached some pretty good athletes. Chris, you have a question for young Zach Apple?
So another question, can you talk a little bit about what it's like every day to walk out on that pool deck at the Councilman Center and, be around that level of athletes? Is it lighthearted? You guys keep it fun? I'm sure you do. Are you, how much emphasis do you put on preparation to get ready for practice in terms of stretching, rolling out, fueling, other things like that? What are you guys doing at the high level there to get ready for practice every day?
For sure, yeah. We definitely keep it lighthearted. We love to have a good time. I always say I'm not really in the sport for the practices. I'm in it for the racing and for the teammates. I'm sure most of you don't love to go to practice every day, and I'm the same. Practice isn't my favorite part of the sport, like I said. But having teammates that like to keep it fun, and we always joke around with the coaches, with our teammates. It's fun. Another thing that is kind of unique about training here with that group. People like Chris has already said, but Blake Peroni, myself, Zane Grothy, Annie Laser, Cody Miller, Lily King. I mean, that group right there is I think unrivaled anywhere across the country. And something that's unique about that is that conversations about high level swimming are very normal. We talk about breaking world records casually. And I think that's something, and not that you guys need to talk about breaking world records or anything like that, but talking about achieving at a high level, it should just be an expected thing almost. And so that's something I think that's really unique. All last year during my senior season, we talked about, breaking 3 minutes in a 4 medley relay, which had only ever been done once. And it was almost like, it was just like, yeah, that's what we're going to do. It's not like anything special. It's just, that's who we are. And that's kind of the level we're going to hold ourselves to. And so that's something that I think is really unique about here. And I think you can kind of carry that to any level of swimming, is making sure that talking about high performance is something that is common and almost daily. I think that's something when I swam with Chris was that we did. I forgot that we did those Monday meetings until I read that little synopsis you wrote out, and how often Chris would put up not necessarily a goal, but tell us that we could be, we could have 3 guys split 19 on a relay at Y Nats or something, which was like, we thought there was no way in the world we're gonna have people split 19 on a relay. And so that's something that's unique about here. But then onto the prep for practice. We all have kind of our own little things that we like to do before practice, but we all stretch. We all usually do a little bit of foam roll. Cody does a lot before practice, especially since his knee injury. I'm sure you all have watched Cody's vlogs and stuff and know about his struggles a couple summers ago. But he has a huge routine that he does every day before practice. And not that you need to do that, but there are definitely some things, just stretching, you getting activated, getting the blood flowing a little bit before you get in the water is super important.
Terrific.
How early do you get to work out to do your routine? Like, you guys show up at 5 minutes till and do a little bit of stretching and get in the water? Or?
Yeah, I usually like to get into the pool about 30 minutes before practice starts. I usually like to chat with people for quite a bit before I get in the water. So I'll pop in the coach's office and chat, and we'll chat on deck. And then we probably start 15-ish minutes before practice starts, trying to get going and get ready to get in the water. So
nice, awesome, thank you.
Yeah, I think the thing to take away from that is just it's casual conversation for them to talk about breaking world records in practice. I think each year, Zach, I don't know how much you know about the Rapids program, but we're only about a year and a half old.
Yeah.
And so each season that goes by, Rapids, I think what you're going to find is that our casual conversations are just going to be a little bit higher and a little bit higher, and what we consider to be normal level of success is going to be better and better every year. One of our athletes who's achieved a lot of success, his name is Joshua Farnsworth. He's 11. He was second in the state a couple different times as a 10-year-old.
Oh, nice.
We call him the Mighty Thor. So, Josh, did you have something you wanted to talk about? Are you on there?
Yeah. How do you harness the butterflies before you swim at these high level meets?
Yeah, for sure. That's something that I definitely struggled with a little bit. I had these several meets in a row where I would swim really fast in prelims, and then I would get to finals and I would swim slower, which is not what you want to do, right? You want to swim your best race at finals. And so something that's kind of helped me with that is kind of having a routine where I have a stretching routine, a pre-race routine, kind of maybe have the same snack every time, where it almost becomes a routine. Like I said, that you just kind of get going, and then the ball just gets rolling, and then your body just takes over and it knows what it's going to do easily. And so that's something I kind of had to work on, was just having a set routine of what I was going to do, how early was I going to get to the pool, how early before my warm up was I going to stretch, what time was I going to get in for warm up, what time were I going to get out, change into a suit, get all that ready, get into the ready room and all that. Especially at bigger meets, like a world championships and stuff, you have 2 call rooms before you have to go out to the blocks. And so you have a first call, so you're in there at least 15 minutes before your race. And so you're sitting there with everyone who you're going to race. Everyone's in that call room, and you're sitting there, and you're in this, it's just a room with just you and the people you're going to race, and then a TV with a meet playing in front of you. And so being able to kind of focus on yourself, focus on the breath, and not on the people that are around you, not who you're going to race, not who you think is going to go fast, not how fast you think. Well, you should think about how fast you're going to go, but not thinking about what other people are trying to do or who's going to be around you. Just kind of an internal focus of what you can control. Kind of like Coach was talking about the situation, how we need to focus on what we can control, because there's a lot we can't right now. But kind of same thing going into a race. Focus in on yourself. Focus on your race plan. Make sure you have a plan going into it with your coaches. You can talk to a coach about having a race plan going in, and then kind of work back from there to when you want to get in for warm up and all that stuff. But having a plan is super important.
Yeah, I think I tell kids all the time, they say, I'm really nervous, and I'm like, nervous is good. Nervous is just energy, right? But you can let it take over you and consume you, or you can use it for the positive. And having a plan that you stick to is a really good way to take that nervousness and just kind of bring it back to a normal situation, and you can let it become positive energy for you.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
a really good idea.
I definitely, yeah, like you said, nervousness isn't a bad thing. I still get nervous. I'm in that final call room before I walk out onto a world championship pool deck, and if I wasn't nervous, there'd be something wrong, right? I wouldn't be ready to swim at my best. And so, yeah, there's definitely still nerves even at the highest level. But like you said, just having been able to harness that into a positive energy is something that is good.
Yeah, absolutely. One swimmer who knows to get after it really well and doesn't takes that nervousness into a positive way is Riley Van Shafton. Riley, I'm trying to. Oh, there you go. Riley, you want to go, Zach?
Hey, Riley.
What? So how do you reset like after a bad race?
Yeah, for sure.
Good question.
That is a good question. So you kind of have to take every race in its own. You kind of, so say you get to a meet and it's hard either way. I was kind of preparing that for this summer. Say I go to the Olympic trials this summer and I missed the 2 free, which is on the second day of the meet, and I was still going to have to try to make the Olympic team in 100 free the next day, and that would have been really hard, right? But also just as hard is having a super, super good swim that first day and then being so excited that I can't sleep or I can't do something to prepare for the next race also. And so I think being able to take each race as its own thing, right? You race, and if it's good, awesome. You can take that. If you can use the energy for the next one, perfect. If it's bad, just being able to leave that behind and not realize that it will not affect the next race. Each race is its own thing. It's a whole own prep. It's a race, and then, like you said, if you have a bad race, you go to the warm down. You figure it out. You still prep for the next race, and then once you finish that warm down, kind of just being able to put it out of your mind and focus on what's next, and just focus on what you can control, which is coming at you. And because what's happened has happened, and you can kind of leave it in the past.
Yeah, I'd always tell the athletes, it's really, I'm glad you said that about a good swim too,
Yeah,
not just
for sure.
the ones that don't go well, because a good swim can throw you off your rails just as quickly because I tell the swimmers, don't ever go too high and don't ever go too low. You want to stay here because it's always easy to get back in and stay mentally focused for the next one.
For sure. Yeah.
So that was really good. One of our athletes who said, plenty of highs and a few lows. And I'm not saying the last 25 yards of your 200 fly is rough to watch, JP, but it's been entertaining at times. JP, this is JP Bernetti, one of our senior boys.
Awesome.
Hey, Zach.
Hey,
how much of your guys' training is like weightlifting and all that?
Yeah, for sure. Weights is definitely a big part of what we do. But in high school, I wasn't lifting that much. I mean, we did a small weight program with Chris, but it wasn't anything super, super huge. And I think that that's not a bad thing. I think that once you get to college, your body's probably a little bit more prepared to take on a little extra load with weights, and you have a little bit more time to recover in between practices with a college schedule compared to a high school schedule. But yeah, weights is a big thing that we do. And right now it's pretty much the only thing that we have because all pools are closed. But, I don't think that for developing swimmers and for even swimmers and through high school is not the most important thing. I think that getting great technique, doing that, and just getting some solid aerobic base and stuff like that in high school is super important. Of course, there's like a little bit of power and stuff that's needed, but I think that it's just a little bit better suited for a college life schedule and everything like that. But not that you can't do it in high school, but I think it's not the major focus.
All right.
Are there any exercises that you have heard that swimmers in particular should stay away from when it comes to working out?
I haven't really done a whole lot of research into it. I know a lot of like overhead press stuff with shoulder could kind of put some extra strain on the shoulders and stuff like that. And so definitely, if you're like, I would just stay away from it in general. But I don't really have a whole lot of knowledge on that area.
That's
I would
okay.
say one thing when we were doing our weight program at GMBY, it was more to get them in the weight room, teach about etiquette, about cleaning up after yourself. And then we did, I'm a huge fan of big movements. I don't like Olympic lifts all that much. So we would just do like 5 or 6 things, not very much ISO. They were all combo moves. And we're just trying to get them ready for that college weight room. So when they got there, at least they had been in a weight room before.
Yeah.
We usually limited that to juniors and seniors only. All the underclassmen had to use the machines so they wouldn't hurt themselves. So
for sure.
So just a quick note, guys. When you raise your hand, I thought they would be raised in order, but the order seems to keep switching. So I'm just going to call on everybody at some point. So if you have a question, raise your hand. If you're up there, I think Izzy Kostal, you had your hand up, but yours went down. So if you want to ask a question, let me know. This is Reed. I'm assuming it's Reed Winters, right? There he is.
1 second. Sorry.
1 second.
What's up, man? You're good.
Okay.
Hey, Jonathan, can you call me back in a second?
Yeah, I'll get you back in just a second, okay?
All
Let's go
right,
to, this is Paul Dadovich. He's one of our senior swimmers.
Awesome.
Very high-level backstroker. Been doing an awesome job. Very good worker. What's up, Paul?
Hey, so Zach, I'm kind of a big swim nerd, so
Nice.
I'm always like working on the fine aspects of technique
Nice.
and whatnot.
Nice.
And I know you have a really good freestyle catch, and that's something that I've kind of been working on, before all the pools got shut down. So
Yeah.
do you have any like drill or anything specific to kind of work on helping your freestyle catch?
Yeah. So something that I like to do, I usually go through in my warm up. I have a drill progression that I go through. The whole gamut every time before I race, so I can set up my stroke. It starts off with like a shorter dog paddle where you're just like focusing on getting that front quarter of the catch up into like a full stroke with an underwater recovery, into just some single arm stuff, making sure you rotate through and catch there on both sides, just single arm swimming that way. And then one drill that I really like that kind of lets me be able to feel that front catch. So it'll be a single arm stroke with this side, and then this arm will come under at the same time as you catch, and it really kind of puts some resistance on that front catch part. And then you come through, and then just like another single arm stroke, and then just back under like that, and same with the other side. And it really sets up that front part of your catch really well, and it gives just enough resistance where it's not terrible, it's not like hard, but it gives you the resistance where you can feel the front of your catch really well. But something that I think helped me a lot when I got to college, one of the guys that I swam with, his name was Kyle Darmody. He was one of the reasons I went to Auburn. He was super good and stuff, and one of my great big mentors when I was there. He told me just to count my strokes and warm up, and then that kind of carried on throughout my set. So now pretty much every 25 I do, I know my stroke count. And that's just to make sure that you can stay efficient. I think just working on that long stroke and kind of taking as few strokes as possible in warm up, and then if you can carry that throughout a set or something like that, is super helpful. And so yeah, those are like kind of some tips I have.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Those are definitely really good drills. I like the one where your hand's coming under and giving you extra resistance, because we talk about finding the water in the front, but sometimes you can talk about it, but there's some kids have a hard time feeling what that feels like.
Yeah.
That's a really good one. So I promise I'm not calling the same person twice. This is Josie Van Shafton,
Awesome.
Riley's older or younger sister?
Older.
Who's older? Older by how much?
A minute.
A minute. Okay.
So
What's
we
up,
all
Josie?
have our failures. What's the most embarrassing thing you've done in an event at a meet?
Everybody always asks this question, like, what's the most embarrassing? I don't really have like too many like super embarrassing stories. The one thing I can think of was that first time that I made districts in Ohio, when I was in high school. I got behind the blocks and I was like pretty nervous because like I was like not really into swimming at that point. I didn't really know what I was doing, and I was like adjusting my cap, and I just straight up ripped my cap in half. And I had like maybe 2 or 3 heats before I had to swim, and it was a 50-meter pool, and we were on the far end, and my cap, all my bag was on the other side, so I had to like sprint like through the crowd and like through the pool to grab another cap, and I couldn't find one. And I like ended up just like grabbing a black cap from like the bag next to mine and running back and having to rip it on my head, and I ended up going to lifetime best, which was pretty awesome. But I think the adrenaline gave me a little boost from having to run all around the pool. But I don't have like any like super embarrassing stories, but yeah, that's like as much as I can think of.
I went swim under the lane. Yes, to the next lane.
That is pretty embarrassing.
Was it the least backstroke that you did that, Josie?
Yeah, because my friend was talking
That's
to
good.
me and I put on my goggles.
Nice.
That's a good one. I like that. All right. So we're back. We're going to give Reed another crack at it. Are you with us, Reed?
Yeah. Hi.
What's up, man?
So in a race, do you like hear like everybody like cheering for you, or is like just all quiet? And like, if so, how do you make it like quiet?
So it depends on the meet, right? If there's not very many people there, obviously it's usually pretty. You can't really hear anybody. But at a meet like Olympic trials, there's 15,000 people in the stands, right? And so you definitely can hear that a little bit when you're swimming. But you know, again, I think kind of having that race plan and being able to just focus purely on that kind of lets you kind of forget that there's so many people there, and you can kind of have an internal focus and focus on what you've planned and what you've trained to do. It kind of helps you with that.
Thank you, Josie. Or Reed. All right, this is Cameron. I'm assuming this is Cameron Schwartz. Is that right?
Yeah.
Cameron's one of our junior group swimmers. Just came off a really awesome season. Cameron, what you got for us?
What have you done to stay in shape over this break?
Yeah, for sure. I've been running a bit, and I've been rowing on like an erg machine a little bit, but I think I've slowly progressed into doing that. One of the big things that the head strength and conditioning coach at USA Swimming kind of told us was, if you haven't ran a whole lot in the past 6 months, don't go out and run 4 or 5 miles. You're gonna potentially hurt yourself, and you're gonna be very sore. and so just kind of slowly building into some other aerobic exercises. You know, making sure that your body can handle the stress, because it's super different from what you do in the pool every day. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. And then we've had a gym where we've been able to lift a little bit, but besides that, that's about it.
Yeah, when I put together, I actually put together a training plan that is very particular and trying to mimic the training cycles that we do in swimming.
Nice.
So like aerobic some days might be more lactate tolerance oriented, you know, stuff like that, and they're based off of, you know, how hard should you be working for how long, and how long should you be resting, kind of like you would in a pool.
Yeah.
Because I think otherwise my biggest fear was that a lot of swimmers were going to get in and just run and hurt themselves, or do dry land that they're not prepared for, and I don't want them doing that. So you got to find ways to do the exercise but mix it up.
For sure. Yeah, that was a big thing they talked to us about, was making sure you don't add in new movements that you haven't been training, because you're gonna potentially hurt yourself. So
don't turn a potentially, you know, a month or two break into a 4-month break.
Yeah.
This young lady, her name is Piper Price, and I think a lot of people would agree she is one of the hardest working, most driven swimmers you probably ever met. Awesome. She is 12 years old.
Nice.
Hi, Piper.
What's your favorite type of workout?
That's a good question. I think my favorite type of workout is usually like a speed and power workout, where you can kind of get up and race with some people on some 25s and stuff like that. We have like pulleys set up and stuff where we can pull weight in the pool, which is fun. I don't know if you guys have like towers or anything like that, but you know, parachutes are on cords and stuff like that, where you get to go fast and then have some fun. That, and then usually like lactate sets, where you get up and race with some of your teammates and push each other, is really fun.
Yeah.
Piper, what's your favorite?
That's what I was about to ask.
Aerobic.
Aerobic?
Like I am.
All right.
Piper loves 200 fly, 200 breasts, 400 IM.
All right.
Pretty much the exact opposite of everything you just said.
Yeah.
Playing with toys are fun, man.
Yeah,
we don't have a lot of toys to play with, but what we've done a lot of times over the years is if we don't have, you know, things like the cords and stuff like that to provide the resistance, we provide our own resistance. So we'll do things where we'll hold on each other's legs.
Yeah.
And the person in front is pulling, and the person
pull an extra person.
And then you let go of their legs in the middle, and they take off and sprint.
For sure. Yeah, we've definitely done some stuff like that. That's fun.
Those are a lot of fun.
Yeah.
This is Sophia. Is it Sophia?
Yeah.
Hi, Sophia. Sophia Shaw's nickname is Macaroon. She's a little speed demon 12-year-old also. Say hi to
Nice.
Zach.
Hi.
Hello. How's it going?
What you got for him, Sophia?
What do you usually eat? What do you usually eat before a race or a meet?
Yeah. So I don't really have like a specific like meal that I eat. I know some people like always want to eat the same thing, like they want to eat pasta the night before or something like that. I usually just try and just stay with some stuff that I know is gonna treat my body well. I don't want to try and like go out and try some new foods or something like that. I want to just stick with things that I know my body can handle and that it's not gonna make me feel bad the next day. Usually stay away from greasy foods and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't really have anything specific that I always go to. But
What are your thoughts on energy drinks?
I don't drink energy drinks. I usually drink coffee before I race at sessions. I know some of you are probably pretty young and don't drink coffee, but I know some people like to get caffeine other ways through like a pre-workout or an energy drink or something like that. But from my experience, I used to take pre-workout, and I would only take it before finals. And then I had this whole time where I would go fast in prelims, then go slower at finals. And so I was like, well, that's not working. I'm going to stop doing that. It doesn't seem like anything's benefiting. So I think it's kind of individual to each person. But I usually don't drink energy drinks is what I usually do.
Yeah, generally safer to stay away.
For
And
sure.
keep in mind, guys, if he says he's going to have coffee, Zach is at a point in his career where he might race once that day, or he might race a couple times, with hours in between. It's different than if you're an age grouper, racing 4 or 5 times over the matter of 3 hours.
For sure.
All right, so Isabel Kostal, she raised her hand earlier and she's back again.
Nice.
Let me see if I can unmute it. Izzy's one of our 11, 12-year-olds who also had a really great season. We had a lot of 11, 12 girls have some good seasons.
Nice.
Good questions. What you got, Izzy?
Do you have any music or meet preparations that you do before your race?
Yeah. I usually listen to music on like the ride to the pool, just to kind of get in my own little zone. Once I get to the pool though, I usually don't listen to music. Like I said, I kind of had a problem with kind of getting too wound up before a final session, and so I didn't really want to add any like pump up music, anything like super that's gonna get me even more excited that I'm gonna end up going out and burning out in a race or something like that. So I listen to music on the way to the pool usually, and then once I get there, I just try and chat with people and kind of relax and enjoy the being at a meet with some of your good friends, right? That's like one of the funnest parts about swimming is you get to spend like just so much time with people that you really enjoy being with and some of your best friends. And so yeah, so I listen to music on the way to the pool and then not when I get to the pool usually. And then I have like a stretching routine that I go through every time before I race and just go through that. And then the same warm up every time pretty much for each race that I do. So.
Yeah, that's great. I like that you said that about your friends because we're really particular about leaning on each other, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And I talk about the athletes trying to have that optimal, performance zone there. You don't want to be too low. If you're too low, maybe you do need to listen to that music or have that coffee and get higher. And if you're one of those people who are way up here already, you don't need to listen to more music and get more wound up. You need to chill. Yeah. And I find that talking to your friends and just staying in a good mood keeps you in that zone.
For sure.
So that's really good. One of our athletes, her name is Layla Winch. Layla is also a strong 12-year-old swimmer who's had an unbelievable season. Layla, what you got for Zach?
I was wondering, like, how do you keep like that good mindset to like go to practice every day and like always try your hardest?
Yeah, for sure. It can get tough sometimes. If you go through a long training block with no racing or anything, it can get kind of tough to keep the motivation to go to practice. Like I said in the last question, just thinking about it as going to hang out with your friends and knowing that you're going to go and laugh and have a good time and chat with your friends is kind of what makes it easier. Because if you were just going to train by yourself, that'd be really hard to do. So having people that you enjoy being with and just having fun with your friends is really what gets you through practice usually.
Yep, and that's a large part of the reason why we are setting up these group meetings for the kids to get to interact, because these are the people that have been next to you through the hardest times, and they're going to be there for you again. All right, MP, I want to say this is this Grace Parker?
Yes, this is Grace.
Hey, Grace. How's it going?
It's going well. I wanted to know, what do you do for cool downs at meets?
Yeah. So I usually put fins on for cool down, and I go 150 swim, 100 kick, 4 times for 1,000, and if I'm still feeling kind of bad, I'll do that a couple more times. But just put the fins on, kind of get the legs moving a little bit, flush that out with a little extra resistance on the legs, and yeah, just kind of make sure that you keep moving. You don't want to sit in the warm-up pool for too long just without swimming, because that's going to just spike your lactate. So just making sure you keep moving throughout that whole thing around 1,000.
So tell me, why do you put the fins on? I think that's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit just to keep you moving. It just makes it a little bit easier, but also it adds a little bit more resistance for the kick, especially when you're just kicking. It just kind of flushes out the quads and stuff a little bit better.
That's interesting. So did everybody hear how much he said? Chris, did you hear that?
Yep.
Did he say go warm down 100? I don't think he said that. Zach, the number of times we've had kids are like, did you warm down enough? Like, yeah. I said, okay. Let me rephrase. How much did you warm down? Oh, like a couple hundred. All right, please go. Get back in. Do another 600 or 800.
I've definitely been guilty of that a few times, but.
Yes, exactly. But now you're learning, right? You even said, you know yourself, like putting the fins on will keep you moving and keep you from sitting there and talking too much. And you have an actual set that you do. I mean, that's if you listen to your body. So you said, if I feel like I need more, I'll do more. So you might go up 12 or 1,400. I think it's awesome. Great stuff. This is Annie Mears. She would have fallen in the category of one of our awesome 11, 12-year-old girls, except she just had her 13th birthday. Annie Mears, what you got for us?
I want to ask, like, how do you deal with anxiety and, like, nervousness and emotions before, like, all of your meets and stuff? If you get any?
Yeah, for sure. Of course we do. Yeah, we're just like, I'm no different than all of you, right? I still get nervous before all my races. I'm still, sometimes I struggle to go to practice just like you guys do. We're the same. We all do the same sport, and I struggle with the same stuff you guys do for sure. So yeah, nervousness and stuff before races. One of the things I did in 2017, right? That was the first year I made the U.S. national team. I kept a practice log that whole year going into it, so that when I could get to the end of the season, I had this physical manifestation of all of this work that I had put in the whole year, and I could go back and I made little notes and stuff about, I had a really good practice this day, and I was holding these times, and I was, doing really well. And so I had this like thing that I could look back on and kind of take pride in and take, confidence in what I had done that way. I think that's something that can help. Also, like I know I've said it so many times, but just having a plan is so crucial to successful racing. Being able to just go in and know exactly what you're going to do before you race is pretty nice. I remember I was watching this. I don't know. I was listening to a podcast or something with, I can't even remember. I think it was Albert Subaruts, and he said, I got to a point where I walked up behind the blocks and I knew exactly what was going to happen. I knew how fast I was going to go. I knew exactly how many kicks I was going to take, how many strokes I was going to take, what time I needed to turn in. He said, I remember the first time that happened, I remember thinking like, man, I've really mastered this. And so having that plan is something that's super important. That's kind of how I feel about the 100 free now, is that like, man, I know exactly how to do it. And I'm like, I love it because it's like so easy to just go in there and like execute this thing that you've been training to do so well. It's super fun. So having that plan and just practicing it every day in practice, and then, just kind of be able to translate that into a meet is super important.
I love that you said that. We describe to the athletes all the time, you don't achieve success in that moment. you achieve success every day leading up to that moment.
Yeah.
And the more you put in that repetition, the more likely it is you're increasing the chances that you're going to execute it the exact way you want to.
For sure.
That's a good description of it. We got a couple more hands up before I get to them, and then we'll probably wrap it up soon after that because you've been with us for an hour, which is amazing.
We're good.
I got a question, and then I'm going to call on Sarah and Nikayla.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate to get to coach a really phenomenal young man like yourself named Michael Duderstadt.
Oh yeah.
And I know you swam with Duder at Auburn.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you had any good Michael Duderstadt stories from Auburn that you could share. And for those guys that are listening right now that don't know, I coached Michael when I was in Panama City for a long time in Florida. And Michael went on to, similar. He started in high school, didn't swim at all before that, and accelerated really quickly. But one of the hardest working, nicest kids you ever met. You have any good Duder stories?
Yeah. I kept trying to think. I'm so bad at remembering stories, but Duder was another guy who was in that same class as Kyle Darmody, another guy that really kind of held me accountable and was one of my role models almost at Auburn. And kind of somebody who pushed me to be able to become who I am in the pool and out of the pool. But Duder was a guy he was primarily a 100 and 200 breaststroker. But he was somebody that, no matter where we put him on a relay, a 4-free relay or something, we knew that he was going to show up and throw down for the team. I think that's something that at Auburn we kind of had really well was, we had guys who were willing to step up and do things that weren't normal for themselves to the benefit of the team. And I think that's something that's super special about college swimming when you kind of are competing for a team trophy or team points that you can kind of, I think we got it at GMVY a little bit when we were kind of fighting for places at YNATs and stuff like that. Being able to look back at your team and just be like, all right, this isn't exactly what I trained to do or exactly what I'm used to, but I'm going to get up and do it for my teammates because they need me right now. And, that's something that I really, really loved about college swimming was just like laying back into the team and being able to step up for them.
Yeah.
Duder was one of those guys for sure.
Oh my God. Yeah. He was, he just his mere presence lifted everybody else up around him for sure. Myself included, no doubt. But I love that you said that because, you've heard us talk a lot about team and family and being there. And, you're getting called to do a stroke on a medley relay that is not your stroke, but it's going to help the team out or whatever it is. Or, you're just relying on each other every day. And sure. Well, thanks for sharing that. This is Sarah. Is it Sarah Kong? Let me see.
Yeah.
Sarah Kong? Hey, we call her King Kong. Sarah Kong had a big old season. 13-year-old girl. She moved up into the senior group, been training at a very high level lately. Sarah, what you got going for us?
Has your diet changed over the break?
Yeah, I've definitely noticed since I'm not swimming as much, I'm just generally less hungry and I'm eating significantly less. I'm kind of sticking to the same stuff that I would be eating, just pretty much smaller portions. But I think just listening to your body in that aspect, some of you guys are growing a lot and you're probably still going to be pretty hungry and you're still going to want to eat. And that's really not a bad deal. But for me, I'm not really growing or anything. And I've cut back my workload significantly since I'm not training twice a day and stuff like that. So I've just noticed I'm significantly less hungry, but I haven't really changed like what I've been eating too much.
Yeah, that's good. So we have this virtual training center on our website that I was talking about earlier, and Chris and Jessica and I went in and filmed a whole bunch of videos. So we release a new video every day, and one of the ones we're talking about is nutrition. And
nice.
One of the points I made in there was exactly what you said. Like, maybe don't eat at the level that you were eating before, unless you're working out at the level you were working out before.
Yeah. For sure.
Otherwise, your body can change in a heartbeat. So this is Nikayla Caraballo. Nikayla had a breakthrough season this year and learned how to train at a way higher level and is starting to take off. Nikayla, what you got for Zach?
What's been one of the most unforgettable meets?
Yeah. I think my favorite swimming moment was that in 2017 I went in, so 2016 trials, I went to trials, which was awesome. I didn't really have a chance at the team or anything, or semi-finaling. And so I think I placed like mid-30s in all of my events, which was good. Like I was really happy with how I swam. And so going into 2017, nobody really expected me to be a contender for the World Championship team or anything like that. And the first day was the 100 free, and I in my mind I was like, man, I'm gonna get a spot on this World Championship relay. Like I think I can do this. And so the first day 100 free prelims, I am in a heat with Caleb Dressel and Ryan Murphy and Ryan Held and those guys, and I'm like, all right, like this is the time. And so I ended up winning the heat and being the top seed out of prelims, and I dropped like a second and a half in the 100 free, which is once you yeah, which for me was insane. And so in between prelims and finals, there were all these articles that were like, an apple a day keeps the competition away, or like, who is Zach Apple, or like, it was this like crazy whirlwind of just like going from being unknown to like, man, now you're like I went 48-0, which like would have finaled at every international competition in history almost. And so it was
made
like
the team.
Crazy. Yeah. And so it was crazy to kind of go through that whole transition, and kind of going from being unknown to being a known, kind of a candidate for a World Championship team was super, super fun. And it was kind of like you said, kind of like a breakout season for me as well.
Well, I think it's safe to say that you've got a lot more Zach Apple fans, and if anybody thought who is Zach Apple leading into today, now we know, man. We're pumped up for you. So,
awesome.
and the scary thing is, because of the trajectory that you've put yourself on over the last few years, you're one of the athletes who might benefit from an extra year going into trials. So keep following your own advice, because we are very excited for you, and we're going to be having Rapids viewing parties watching, and you're going to have the entire city cheering for you.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Unless you knock Townley off the team or something like that, because he's on Nova. They're like 10 minutes down the road. So maybe not the whole city will be cheering for you, but most of us.
That'll be good. Good enough.
So,
sure.
Chris, did you have anything else you want to share before we go?
Oh, no, just thanks so much, Zach, for taking the time out of your day to meet and talk with us and share your experiences and field these questions, man. Like I told you earlier, I'm just really proud of you, and I can't wait to keep watching your journey as we go here. So that's going to be really exciting. If you ever come to Richmond, you got a free place to stay and a place to train if you want to come.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Well, I've unmuted everybody. If you guys want to give a big thank you before we go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Zach.
Junior group
Yeah, of
will be
course.
gone tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Junior group tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Friday will be classes 1, 2, 3, and 3 o'clock. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Hang in there, guys.
Thanks again, Zach.
Working hard.
Thank you so much,
Take care, bud.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
All right.
Thanks, Zach.